Hey there, how there, ho, there's Jeff Cutter Dunn. Welcome you to yet another Above the Rim college basketball, where we've done doing tournaments and all that based off of teams from the team sets that I picked up with the game, like with the $120 version. And we are going to be taking a look at the 65 to 69 teams, the teams from the 1964-65 season through to the 68-69 season, the last half of the 60s, and see who comes out on top. We did the 84 season, seeing North Carolina win it, the 83 North Carolina squad, 85 Oklahoma, 86 Syracuse, 88 Oklahoma, 82 Missouri, 81 Indiana, 76 Indiana, and 72 UCLA, if you must know. So we have 48 schools that brought a team in, and we are going to do a preliminary round. 16 teams did get to the second round of 32, and the other 16 will have to fight. And it's randomly drawn. First off, we have 67 Winston-Salem versus Vanderbilt, and a win for Winston-Salem. They'll move on to this next round. English with 9. If that's Earl the Pro Monroe, that is huge. I think that is Earl the Pro Monroe with 31 points. Vanderbilt, 23 from Hagen, 20 from Campbell. Vanderbilt's not really the best of basketball schools. 69 Weber against 68 Army. I think Coach Krzyzewski coached this team, or Bobby Knight. I can't remember who. But the Army takes down Weber, 80 to 77. No, Coach K was with the Army squad. I think the Bobby Knight would be in the coach. So Coach K gets 10 points, 20 from Shutsky and Hutt, 22 from Harlan, Sojourner, also there too, Delapia. Next, we have 66 BYU against 66 Oklahoma City. And BYU wins. The Summer 66, 28 points for Namalka, Oklahoma City with 22 from Wells. Next up, 65 Miami. I believe this has Rick Barry in against 6 Western Kentucky. And Miami gets their asses handed to them. Rick Barry did score 32 points, but that doesn't mean anything. 30 from Cunningham. Clem Haskins, the future coach of Minnesota, with 22 for the Hilltoppers. We will go next to Trinity versus Southern Illinois. I think Southern Illinois, that's Clyde Clyde Frazier, right? Well, they won, and yep, Clyde with 15 points, Smith for 21. Trinity, a small school that tried to make the run but couldn't. Next up, we have 69 Marquette and 66 UTEP. UTEP, the 1966 champions. Well, they were formerly known as Texas Western, but they're now known as UTEP. But yeah, 66 was a great year that they started. All starters in the championship game against Kentucky were black, and this made things go. What is it? Glory Road? Was that the movie that had them? And they barely beat Marquette, 74-72. 19 from Meminger. UTEP 26 from Hill. Got Artist, Ladin, Flair, and Shed. Names that you'll want to see again and again. UTEP wins. 65 OK State against LaSalle. And it will be LaSalle winning 72-70. The Explorers. 20 from Taylor, 17 from Durant, 16 from Cannon, 19 from Passman Iba. I think that's Hank Iba's son, because Hank Iba was the big coach for Oklahoma City. Oklahoma State 66 Duke against 68 OSU. And it was Duke with the win, 92-71. 23 from Lewis, 17 from Marin. Nobody of note. Ohio State, Howell, and Sorensen, and Hoskett, and Geddes. Next up, we have 65 Michigan State against 66 Kentucky, the team that lost the national championship game, and I think Pat Riley was on this team. And Kentucky crushes it, 99-80. Pat Riley with 18 points, Cron, Louis Dampier, ABA icon on that team, Conley with 19. So they had good scoring. 25 from Curtis, 16 from Sanders. Vanderjack, not Mike Vanderjack. Next, we have Evansville, 65 against 67 Toledo. And it was Toledo, holy Toledo. They win 104-80. Mix with 49 points, Steve Mix, that is. 46 from Humes of Evansville. And Jerry Sloan, the point guard, the future head coach of Evansville and the Utah Jazz for over 2 decades. The funny thing is, Evansville 12 years later had that plane crash that decimated their team. Jerry Sloan, I think, was an assistant, and I think he wanted to drive there, and his life was saved. Wonder what Utah would have been like if Jerry Sloan had been in an accident. 69 Purdue, I think they went to the national title game. Rick Mount was there too. But again, 65 Wisconsin. And Purdue wins. Yeah, Rick Mount, 23 points. Keller, 24. Yeah. Yeah, I think they went to the final 69 against UCLA. 65 Badgers, 20 from Suber, Sweeney with 13, Gustafson with 6. Yeah, of course, UCLA could only get one team. That's the rule is one team, and the 68 team was the better of the LA teams. They take on 66 Syracuse and win. Lacey Shackelford, Lou Alcindor, aka Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lucius Allen, Mike Warren are your main guys. Syracuse, Dave Bing, future Piston with 16 points, 22 from Big Lou. The 68 LA team were the national champs that year and actually came back against Houston because Houston gave them their only loss of the season and LA came back to fight. 65 Minnesota against 69 Temple, and it was Minnesota with the win. As Lou Hudson, future Hawk icon with 33 points. Yates and Clark also there. 27 for Baum, Mast, and Strunk. 69 North Carolina against 67 Kansas. Can't believe North Carolina and Kansas had to face each other in the first round. And North Carolina with the win, 84-82. Charlie Scott was 16. One of three was 16. Arndt had 15 points off the bench for Kansas. Vanoy, Harmon, JoJo White, future Celtic icon. 69 Detroit against 65 San Francisco. And it was San Francisco with the win, 83-30, as Ellis and Johnson each had 20 points each. 35 from Spencer Haywood, who would do much for ABA NBA relations. And finally, 69 Drake against 65 Providence. And a narrow win for Drake. Drake's Coffee Cake, 31 from McCarter. That helped Providence. With Jimmy Walker, 28 points. The father of Jalen Rose, Rionda with 8 points. But yeah, Providence loses. So we're down to 32. Our first matchup will be Dayton versus Loyola, two teams that got in. And it will be Dayton who will sneak into the Sweet 16, 88-87, 26 from May, 26 from Smith from Loyola, Illinois. Loyola, who a couple years earlier were the national champs, but they're ineligible because they're not 65-69. Oopsies. 67 Toledo against 66 BYU. Both these teams qualified in the preliminaries, and BYU crushed Toledo in the fine powder. 24 from Kramer, 23 from Namaka, and 22 from Condon. Nix and Balbone not doing anything. 69 North Carolina against Utah, who made their way automatically. And Utah with the win, 87-75. Scott had 14, Bunting 23, but Utah wins. Chambers with 28, Fisher with 17. So done. 68 Kentucky Wesleyan versus 67 St. John's. Both these teams qualified. I just wanted to see if Kentucky Wesleyan could do anything, but they don't. The young school, 14 with 18, but 24 from Dove. 66 Kentucky versus 65 Michigan. Get at the line. And it was Michigan who pulls it off. A massive upset. Cassie Russell with 18 points, Bunton with 27. Dampier at 28, Pat Riley with 12, but they get upset by Michigan. Michigan? Yeah, that's true. 65 Minnesota versus 69 Columbia. And it will be Columbia who will move on to the Sweet 16. Ivy League, 18 from McMillan, 20 from Lou Hudson, and a loss. Archie Clark there too. 65 Indiana versus 68 Niagara. Team from Buffalo, and Niagara wins. Kelvin Murphy, known for his free throw shooting being nearly flawless, 40 points. 22 from McLaughlin, John McLaughlin for Indiana, and the Van Armsdale boys. One of them went, I think they both went to Phoenix. 66 UTEP and 65 Princeton. UTEP the champs in 66. 65 Princeton with Bill Bradley. And it was Princeton with the win. Bill Bradley with 32 points. No other Princeton guy got double digits. UTEP just played a good team game, but they couldn't believe it. They lose to Princeton, so another national champ goes down swinging. 66 Duke versus 67 Winston-Salem from North Carolina, and it's Duke who survived, 87-85. 24 from Ferga, 18 from Chapman off the bench in 19 minutes, 35 from Earl the Pearl. doing his job off the bench. But yeah, he won. 68 UCLA against 69 Illinois. The next task for Lou Alcindor, and that's a loss. Illinois wins and goes to the Sweet 16. Are you for real? 72-71. 27 from Alcindor, 10 from Allen. I don't know what the hell happened. 18 from Jackson, 14 from Harrison. How did they fuck up? This was supposed to be their tournament. Oh my gosh. St. Bonaventure versus Iowa, 68 St. Bonnie, 65 Iowa. And St. Bonaventure will be going to the Sweet 16, 89-81. Bob Lanier playing for St. Bonnie. That's right, 33 points, 19 from Rogers. Army versus San Francisco. And San Francisco will be going to the Sweet 16. 16 from Ellis Mueller, 16 from Shutsky and Hutt. Coach K with 2 points in 34 minutes. Pathetic. 68 Houston with the Big E Elvin Hayes against 67 West Virginia. They win 94-81. 20 points from Reeser and Williams was not enough. Elvin Hayes, 48 points. It was basically Elvin Hayes and everyone else for Houston, who should have won the national title after beating up on UCLA, but they didn't. 69 Purdue, 65 Davidson. The Mount does it. He was on the Mount. Davidson, 79 points. You know, the school that Steph Curry went to, but 32 points by Rick Mount, as Purdue will move on to the Sweet 16. 67 Illinois with Clyde against 66 West Virginia. And the mid-majors, Western Kentucky moves on. Cunningham with 22 points, but that's not Sam Bam Cunningham. Haskins 17. Clyde had 16. Only 16. And finally, Drake against LaSalle. Battle of 69. Drake's coffee cake against LaSalle, and it will be LaSalle who will move on. Known for being Tom Gola's university in the 50s, so 18 from McCarter Draper. So we got a Sweet 16 full of surprises. Our first matchup is 69 Illinois against 68 Houston. Of course, 69 Illinois was the team that shocked UCLA to get to the Sweet 16. And in the end, it would be another upset as Illinois pulls off another one, winning 85-74 to get to the 3-game quarterfinals against somebody, Houston. Elvin Hayes put up 31 points, but I guess when you're a one-man team, it doesn't work. Schultz put up 27 in a shocker. 68 Niagara against 66 Duke. And prepare for another shot. Niagara moves on to the quarterfinals. 40 from Kelvin Murphy. 10 for 12 from free throw line. 20 each from Marin and Verga. Western Kentucky LaSalle sees Western Kentucky move on to the quarterfinals. 79-74. 18 from Durant and Williams for LaSalle. 26 from Cunningham. Haskins with 16. Next up will be 67 St. John's, 66 BYU. And St. John's will move on. Thanks to 32 from the Dove, Lonesome Dove. Kramer with 18. Ika's 13 for BYU in a loss. Dayton, 67 Dayton at 65 Princeton. Sees an overtime heroics by Princeton, and Bill Bradley is in the quarters. 26 points in 26 minutes. He had 4 fouls. Remember, 5, you're out. 22 from May. Dayton tried, but they failed. St. Bonnie against Columbia. Bob Lanier will fall as he scored 21 points, but 26 from McMillan in Columbia. What is it with the schools from the Ivy League? That's 2 for 2. Nice job. 66 Utah, 65 Michigan with Cassie Russell. And Cassie's still around. 98-84 on Utah, 21 from Chambers. But Cassie puts up 31, Brennan 16. And finally, 69 Purdue with Rick Mount against San Francisco. And the Mountain loses. They did good in the second half, but they lose to San Francisco. 20 from Johnson, 34 from Rick Mount, but they fail. So now we got the quarterfinals. First quarterfinal is 65 Princeton, 69 Columbia. How fitting the 2 Ivy League schools are going to face each other. And key to this is that one of them is going to be top 4 and guaranteed a spot in the 64-team super tournament. Because 16 tournaments, top 4 in each one, goes 1 to 64. They will be seeded. Like, we will seed them. And all that. I just have to buy the 87 tournament, the 94 tournament, the 2012, and the 2025 men's tournament and get it there. And then that'll be my four, make 164. I will arrange the teams based off how good they were. Anyway, in the end, Princeton beats Columbia 93-78. Bill Bradley 38 points in the clinching win. Dodson and McMillan put up 20 points each. Good job, but they lose. So Bill Bradley's going to the semifinals and to that 64 team tournament no matter what. 65 San Fran, 69 Illinois. Illinois is full of upsets. They took down the Big E and they took out Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, so they have a chance. And they didn't have to qualify, right? No. In the end, they get shocked themselves by San Francisco. Jimmy Ellis 13, Johnson with 21. The 65 San Francisco Dons. If you're thinking, well, great team San Francisco in the 50s, yeah, but the 65 squad's in the semifinals. Schultz with 20, Price with 17. But Illinois can't believe it. They make two massive upsets, and they can't even get to the Final Four. So they're definitely not going to be guaranteed anything. 65 Michigan against 67 Niagara. Cassie Russell versus one Calvin Murphy. And in the end, it was Michigan sweeping Niagara. So Cassie Russell's in the Final Four. 27 for him, 20 from Trny, and 20 points out the bench from Myers, even though he had 5 fouls. 45 from Murphy. Basically, he was a one-man show. But give Niagara the credit. They got to the quarterfinals. UCLA didn't. And finally, we have 66 Western Kentucky against 67 St. John's, Clem Haskins. And in the end, it was Western Kentucky who will move on to the semifinals. 16 from Haskins, Smith, and Chapman. 16 from Bogut and Lonesome Dove. So the semis are the 65 Michigan squad against 65 Princeton and 66 Western Kentucky against 65 San Francisco. I'm inclined to give teams from 1965 their own thing. They got 3 out of 4. I'm inclined to give 65 of their own 4-team thing. They had 4 teams in the Sweet 16 in the quarterfinals, and they all qualified. Well, 3 teams, excuse me. Indiana. What was Team 64 65 that Princeton, Iowa? Yeah. I would have given 65 their own one, but who would I put fourth? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Michigan Princeton. So whoever wins this, well, whoever loses this will actually take third because I think the loser of this is better than the loser of Western Kentucky San Francisco. They'll take third. And besides, they'll get a seed from 33 to 48. And Michigan sweeps Princeton in defined powder, 89-87 in the final. But give Princeton credit. I mean, an Ivy League team doing well in a tournament in one place, but it is Bill freaking Bradley. 35 points, Harlow with 14. 19 point Bunton Cassie with 15. Michigan moves on to the finals. Princeton will take third. So they should take it with a badge of honor. At least they'll take third, even if Western Kentucky, San Francisco goes to finale. It's basically the best team around, like in real life. And Western Kentucky is going to be your finalist. They beat San Francisco 75-72. Clem Haskins and Chapman doing well. Mueller and Ellis. Not bad for San Francisco. So 65 San Francisco will take fourth. There's 165 team and 166 team left. And that's Western Kentucky and Michigan. Western Kentucky, third road to the final. They took down Miami and Mr. M. Cunningham. Oh, what's his name? What's his real name? Steve Cunningham. Okay. They took down Rick Barry. They took down Clyde Frazier for Southern Illinois. They took down LaSalle, St. John's, and San Francisco. Like none. Like there's nothing to worry about. Clem Haskins and Wayne Chapman working their magic. And Michigan. They took down Kentucky, Niagara, 66 Kentucky. How do you beat the runners up in real life? Wow. Then they beat Utah and Niagara and Princeton to get this far. Bill Bunton and Cassie Russell are putting up their numbers. So we'll see who wins. First place in a top 16 seed guaranteed will be your prize. Oh my gosh. And in the end, it was Michigan beating Western Kentucky in 7 hard games. Russell with 24, Bunton with 20. But hail, 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 hail to the victors. They just took it to the house. And Western Kentucky even took second place. That is good enough for them. That's number one. And Michigan actually won something, almost losing the title. Jim Harbaugh fucked it up. Western Kentucky had to win in overtime, and then they were up 2-1. Michigan 3-2. Yeah, Western Kentucky. No, yeah, Michigan was up 3-2, but Western Kentucky won. Nice job by Michigan to win in 7 games. It was a tough one. Western Kentucky, give them all the credit in the world. They did quite well. Yep, Haskins, Cunningham, Chapman, Smith, and Smith. Kaufman was the only one that got a start. Yeah, 18 points per game for Haskins, Cunningham, 14. Michigan 65 squad. Cassie Russell played 13 of the 14 games. I'm surprised he didn't play all 14. But yeah, Thompson had to come in to start. I think it was an injury. But yeah, Russell 21.2 points per game. Bunton 20.3. Myers had more points per game than Palmy. All right, so that's that. And now we got a free format here. So it's the 19. Is it 50 to 64? 51, sorry. Oh yeah, 50. It would have been nice to have the 1950 champion CCNY, but they got cheated. All right, so everyone gets one team. Now, I think it was the 59 team. I think it was the 59 team that did better. Cincy, I, 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 I have to look. Dated in 1956. Duke, 64, I think was their best year. Indiana, 53, I think. Kansas State, I'll probably say 64. Kansas, yeah, 57 when they won the whole damn thing. Kentucky, 1954, I think, the whole thing. Michigan, we'll go 63. We'll go 63 with them. Michigan 63 because 65 won it. Mississippi State, we'll go 59. North Carolina 57. Yep, there we go. Ohio State. I think the 62 team was better. I think Cincy won in 63, right? Sorry, I have to look. 1960 NCAA basketball. There we go. Got a peanut strip. 25 schools. Ohio State won the 1960 title. So Cal took second. And then Cincy 61 and well, Cincy was 61, 62. Okay. So Ohio State won it in 1960. And then Cincy won the next two and the 62 team. That's right. Loyola was the team that broke Cincy's three-peat. Okay, I had to find out because one team per school. Unfortunately, that's the rule. 55 or 56. Well, 56 was when Bill Russell was his best and then did well in the Olympics. Union Hall, 53. UCLA, 64, I think. Yeah. Utah, 61. West Virginia, 59. Where Jerry West. Washington gets a chance. Wichita, Wake. Villanova does not. I don't think they get a chance. Arizona State. They're one team. Yeah. Bowling Green, sure. Bradley. Oh, there's two Bradley teams. And then I did two Bradley teams. Okay. Okay, so Bradley, Cal will have their two. Since he had a lot, but they only got one. Colorado, Dayton, Duke, Jaden, DeCane, Furman, yeah, the 100-point guy, Frank Selvey. George Washington gets a chance. Holy Cross should get a chance. Illinois gets a chance. Kansas State have three teams. Kansas only gets one. Yeah, Kansas only gets one. Everyone gets one. LSU, Louisville, Loyola, yep, they are the champs. Michigan State, sure. Mississippi State, New Mexico gets a chance. NYU gets a chance. NC State, sure. Notre Dame, sure. Oregon State. Oh, they okay. 63. Providence, sure. Seattle, yep. Seton Hall, yeah. St. Bonnie, sure. Temple, yeah. Texas Western, yeah. Seven Methodist, yeah. Okay, so that would be that would be 44 schools. So 44 schools will take part. Remember, it's one team per conference. Yeah, it's one team per thing. So yeah, so that's what the tournament will be like. The 42 schools will go toe to toe next time. Anyhow, Jeff Diamond, adieu.